Hi there, it's me, Annalisa Boyd, Orthodox Christian wife, mom to 8, bread baker, candy maker, self-proclaimed doula, accidental midwife, and the author of the Ascetic Lives of Mothers Hear Me and Special Agents of Christ, all through Ancient Faith Publishing. Now today we're going to talk about encouraging our children through Great Lent, because the last couple videos I've talked about kind of the challenges that they can bring to our own Lenten journey, but that doesn't mean that they're not on their Lenten journey. And how can we encourage them to make it to the end, and not only the end of this Lenten journey, but of course we're hoping to encourage them heavenward, right? Some people might wonder, well, why didn't we start with the kids in the first place and have that be the focus, since we're talking about mama's children? There you go. Well, there was this movie that I really, really enjoy, and it's called Mom's Night Out, and it is such fun because it's very real as far as how we often can feel as moms. But one of the things that was mentioned that I thought was a really good picture was this mom's getting ready to try to do a mom's night out with a couple of friends, just to kind of energize, but she's kind of feeling guilty and overwhelmed by everything that has to happen just so that she can go out one night with friends. And her husband said basically something to the effect that when we are on an airplane and we lose cabin pressure, or for mamas, we get stressed out, it's important that we put our mask on first, right? When they fall from the ceiling, we put on our mask on first, and then we help our child put on their mask. Because if the person who can kind of keep their wits about them is trying to put the mask on the child or somebody else who's flailing and freaking out, then it's going to be too late for you to get your own mask on. So you put your mask on, and then you help your child put their mask on. So that's kind of why we've addressed where we are and what we're going through first. And now we're going to address the kids, because we need to work on breathing and being on our journey. Otherwise, if we're slipping and sliding everywhere, we can't help them along on their journey. I love it. It makes sense to me. Okay, so there I'm going to give you several is 3. So I'm going to give you 3 things that you may find helpful during this Lenten time. Number one is pray. So just like us, kids need to pray too. Pray. It's important for us to encourage our children to pray. If they're very little, we can pray with them. We can, this sounds worse than what I mean, but kind of like potty training. Some parents will set their timer for every 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and then those in training will go and use the facilities when the timer goes off. We can do the same thing with our little ones when we're encouraging them to pray during the Lenten season or throughout the year, and set a timer for every 30 minutes or every hour to say the Jesus prayer, or say the Our Father, or something. Practice crossing themselves and saying, Lord, have mercy. Something simple that they can get, that they can grasp. Or, sit together, stand together, and do the morning, afternoon, or evening prayers. There are a lot of possibilities there that we can do with our younger children. For our older children, we can also encourage them to pray throughout the day. Remind them that, prayer is helpful during this Lenten time and always. And give them resources. Give them, if you can, give them a new prayer book or a prayer rope or something that just helps to encourage them to pray throughout the day. In our home, we usually have a vigil candle burning because it reminds us to pray. It reminds me to pray. I don't know if it reminds everybody else to pray, but it reminds me to pray. Just seeing that light and thinking of lighting the candles at church those things remind me to pray. But so that's number one, pray, and encourage prayer with your children. It's really up to the priest to make any kind of rule for your child. So encourage them to talk to their priest, and don't make it this, you better pray, this is Lenten time and fasting. What does it say about fasting? That we're supposed to wash our faces, and people shouldn't be able to tell by how we look, because we're not walking around in a mournful way that we're fasting. But maybe they'll be able to tell by our actions and our kindness. That would be a good thing. So number two, give them something to do. And that rhymes, so that actually makes me happy. Number two is give them something to do. If it is a very little person, do coloring pages. It can be, I know online there are Orthodox websites that have printable coloring pages, or you can do just from regular coloring books, or they can draw a picture. But the key is not just to draw a picture or color a picture, but to then give that picture to somebody else. So maybe there's a nursing home nearby, or maybe there's an elderly person in your church who would enjoy getting a gift like that from a small person in the parish. Whatever it is, it should be something that is going to benefit or bless somebody else. We've done homeless bags in the past, and I know people have mixed feelings about that, but our experience with homeless bags, we just had like a water bottle and a pair of socks and some things to eat, and we made cards. So my kids actually drew pictures. We didn't put names on them or anything, but they drew pictures of Jesus, or they drew pictures of a cross, or all sorts of things. But the people that we encountered seemed so genuinely touched by this act of kindness that they were thought of, that they were, it wasn't just a impulse give, impulse almsgiving opportunity, but they were thought about ahead of time. And that was really a blessing for them, really a blessing for us. And my kids got to see that, and they still remember that from when they were young. For the older ones, and for some of the younger ones, the younger ones and the older ones, see what is available in the community. Is there something that you can do to help out the church? Is there something that you can do in the community, working at a soup kitchen, at a shelter, at a pregnancy resource center? A lot of times they need help putting together those layette sets for new mamas. There are just lots and lots of different opportunities, but just encouraging that idea of giving, of doing things for others. And one other thing that we have done in the past is we've adopted an elderly person from our parish. Something we don't think about is the elderly, they don't get touched all the time, because a lot of times they're living on their own. They're not with family. And especially if they're a widow or widower, they're not getting that human contact the same way that they used to. And I think sometimes we miss that. So my girls would, when they were young, they would go up and hug the elderly people, and most of them ended up looking forward to this interaction with their new grandkids. Some of them had grandkids, some of them never had kids, so this was a new experience for them, but they looked forward to that every week. And my girls came to love these people and really felt like they were grandparents. So that's number two. Give your kids something to do to help make this season tangible. Okay, number three, validate or acknowledge the struggle. The struggle for us is real, and the struggle for them is real as well. When they were baptized, they did not get this mini Holy Spirit. They have that fullness. So they are going through the struggle as well, and Satan hates them just as much as he hates us. He hates all mankind. It doesn't matter if they're Christian or not. He hates everybody. We are an abomination to him because we are all mankind. We are all made in the image and likeness of God, and we are repelling to him. So when our kids are going through struggles, if we can step back just a tiny bit and acknowledge, hey, you are struggling right now. Great Lent. and any kind of extended fasting period, you're going to see more of that struggle because we're being more focused. And especially Great Lent, because where are we on our way to? We're on our way to the very thing that destroyed the enemy, that destroyed sin and death. We are purposefully walking in that direction, and Satan doesn't like it. And that is also the reason that we have more church services during Great Lent, because we need to go to the hospital more often. And we also have to be aware and remind our children that this fasting period, it's not symbolic. It is prescribed by the church, not so we can say, see, we struggle with Christ. No, it's real. All of this is real. It is a real struggle, and we need to help our kids understand if they're having a hard time, it's not necessarily that it's not that they're just struggling against a situation or a particular person, but the enemy has it out for them. And we want to encourage them, but acknowledge that, yeah, this is real, and yes, this is a hard time. And so that we can encourage one another so that they have an idea of where everything is coming from. So a verse that I wanted to share is Hebrews 12:11, and I think this is a great one to have posted. It's helpful in lots and lots of situations, but it goes like this. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who are trained by it. I think I've shared this in a different podcast, but I love that verse so much. I think it is so helpful in so many different situations for us to remember that we are dying to self, that we're disciplining ourselves, and it's painful while we're in it, but it will produce that harvest of righteousness and peace. There's that peace again, but the harvest of righteousness and peace. And that's why it's so important. This is prescribed by the church, this Lenten time, because we need to be able to follow Christ wherever he leads us. And that's true for us, and that is true for our children. So, 3 weeks down, let's keep on working out our salvation, one mama moment at a time. Thanks. Bye.